It's Chelsa Messenger with picks and parlays. We're talking college hoops headed out west for one of the late games on the slate. We've got UCLA heading to Washington State. We've got a promo code. The code is LOVE for 20% off the entire site at picksandparlays.net. UCLA favored on the road -4.5, total of 128.5. UCLA 13-4 on the year, 9-8 against the number. Meanwhile, Washington State is 11-8. 9, 8, and 2 against the spread. And UCLA has already beaten Wazoo 91-61 this season on January 14th. So looking at this number, you've got to wonder about the spread a little bit, or at least I am. We've got Dan, the professor, Kaiser, to drop some knowledge on us. Dan, what do you think of the spread?
Yeah, I was a little surprised when the spread came out, but I look at this game, after the first 8 games of the Pac-12 conference, it looked like the Magic had come back to Westwood. It looked like John Wooden was patrolling the ghost of John Wooden was patrolling the sidelines. UCLA got off to an 8-0 start, but they've lost 2 of their last 3. And yeah, as you said, they did beat Washington State by 30, but Washington State's playing a lot better right now. They've won 2 in a row, and they lost a lot, or they had won 2 in a row before losing by 2 points to Oregon State. You look at this UCLA team, they've got a great offense. They got 4 players averaging double figures. You look at this, and Washington State, they had to start out the season really bad. They had lost 7 in a row. Isaac Botton has come on. He scores 18 points a game for them. I'm looking at this game. It's easy to say, jump on UCLA because they blew them out the first time. But this game is in Washington State. I'm going probably a little bit against the grain. But I'm going to take the points in this one with Washington State playing at home. UCLA is not covered in the last 5 games, and they're 1-6 against the spread in their last 7 on the road at Washington State. So I'm going to take a chance and take Washington State in this one.
Well, I am going in the opposite direction because I do like UCLA here. I think it's the much better offense on the whole. Their offensive efficiency rating, top 20, I believe, in the nation, or actually 21st, so close. I think Washington State's defense looks good on paper, but I think they have played a much softer schedule. Granted, they have looked a lot better as of late, and they've looked a lot better covering numbers as of late, which UCLA has not been doing. But I think they're coming off a tough game against USC, which is one of the better defensive teams out in the Pac-12. Granted, UCLA only scored 48, so that's not, especially comforting. But Wazoo, I don't think, is the team that USC is. I think this is a better spot for UCLA here, and I don't think that they're going to beat them by 30, but I think I'll take them at -4.5 here on the road. Looking at a total of 128.5, pretty low. Any leanings there on that?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the last game they played. Obviously, that was a very high-scoring game, even though it was a blowout. So, you look at the spread is low compared to the last game. This total is low compared to what they did the last game. I'm going to take the over in this one. I think it is a little bit too low. I think both teams can get in the 60s in this one. So
I think I'm on that train too. Just because I think that last game kind of skewed the numbers a bit, and there has been some low scoring for UCLA. But as I mentioned, their offensive efficiency is still really good. And if you're not familiar with that metric, that's one of the major metrics that KenPom, all those sites measure and rank teams. And when they do those rankings at the end of the season, that's one of the metrics that they like to use. And if you look at the top teams, it's all the top teams in the nation. So if you are ranked in offensive efficiency, if you're up there, it means you're doing something right. And so I think UCLA probably can score some points here against this Washington State defense that on paper looks pretty good. But as I mentioned, they have not played the toughest of competition as of late. Anything else you think bettors should know when betting on this game that's also going to be really late at night? So I don't know if I'm going to stay up and watch it. We are in the point of the season where we have a nice bet of information at our fingertips. So just because you're not watching some of these games does not mean you can't have a good edge on some of these. But that's going to wrap it up for our West Coast talk. Sorry, guys, that we don't stay up super late. But great stuff from Dan. As always, Dan, thanks for coming on.